Okay, we're in day 2, so this is what we started yesterday. We started talking about slope-intercept form, and we're going to continue using that today. Okay, please try this question and come on back and check and see if you agree with that. And the answer, 3, 2, 1.
C.
Good job. So we don't see a number in front of the x, and so we know that when there is no coefficient visible, the coefficient is 1, right? So the slope equals 1. And the y-intercept is beautifully 7. Good job. Okay, let's try another one. Right here, pause, come back. And the answer is?
D.
Good, I hear you saying D. Okay, the number one error would be to say A. So remember that when you have two terms like that and you're trying to move the x term closer to the equal sign, we do not have a commutative property of subtraction. We only have a commutative property of addition. So we're going to have to add the opposite, right? Before you start moving stuff. And then make sure you carry the sign with you when you switch these. So y equals negative 7x, and the 11 is positive. So we never move a term from the right side of a subtraction sign over without carrying the sign. Okay? How about this? Pause, come back and check. 3, 2, and 1.
A.
Good job. So we saw one of these in our notes. When you don't see the y-intercept, of course, you could add that, right? Plus 0. So the y-intercept is 0. And that's it. We're going to go straight into this lesson. So now it's time to take notes. We're going to write equations today for the lines that pass through 2 points. We're going to write equations when we are given 2 points, okay? Okay, before we actually write the steps to doing this, we're going to try one. And then the steps are going to make more sense when you write them. So leave about 4 lines there for your steps to writing an equation for 2 points. And let's put this sample down. So we're given 2 points. And the first point is 0, 2. The second point is 2, 8. So we know that points always have 2 numbers, an x and a y. So we're going to go make a graph of this, okay? Because we know that this, if we have 2 points, can we draw the line?
Yes.
It's the smallest number we need to draw a line, right? So we're going to go to the graph, and we're just going to simply plot these points. So remember, x comes before y. You must walk before you fly, right? So we're going to walk 0 and fly 2. I think I'm a little off calibration here. And then we're going to walk 2 and fly 8. There. I'm going to pause and calibrate this. Okay, so once we have the 2 points down, we can draw the line, right? So I'm going to grab a line and draw it through those 2 points and beyond. Okay, so everybody, if you haven't done that, make sure you've done that. Through the 2 points and beyond. All right, so yesterday we learned a form for linear equations. Will, what's the form we learned? Slope.
Slope.
Y. Y-intercept form. Let's all say it. Ready? Slope, y-intercept form. And one more time. Slope, y-intercept form. And let's say the form together. Ready? Y equals m plus b. You have to have it. You have to have it. And the slope is which letter? Like the mountains, it's m. And the b is which letter? I'm sorry. And the b is what? The y-intercept. The y-intercept. So we need to find out. Okay. If we can find the slope and the y-intercept, we simply can substitute them into our model. Okay? So let's start with the y-intercept. Where does this line cross the y-axis? Aiden, where does it cross the y-axis?
At 0, 2.
At 0, 2. So we have a y value of 2. So we know that point. Okay? And then the second thing we need is slope, and we know that slope is rise over run. So if we practice what we've done already, we move from the left point that we know to the right point that we know. How much are we rising here?
6.
Good. And how much are we running? 2. So we can write that as 6 over 2, and can that be simplified? So what is it? 3. And that would be 3 over what? 1, right? And when we have 3 over 1, we can just write it as 3. That's simplified form. If you had to graph it, you would know to put a 1 underneath it. Okay? So our slope is 3. So we have y-intercept, we have slope. Let's go substitute into the form that we know. So who can read me your equation with the values substituted? Spencer. 3x plus 2. Excellent. And you've done it. Okay, as I said, we can graph an equation. We can also just show the values in the equation itself. Sometimes we just use the equation and we don't even go graph it. Okay? So the steps to writing an equation of a line passing through 2 points are: begin by plotting your 2 points. After plotting them, what did we do? Emily, what did we do then?
After plotting those, then you draw a line.
Good. Draw the line carefully. We use our rulers, our note cards. And then what did we go find next? Kenzie. And the... Good. And once we did, we had M and B. And then Spencer, what did you do? You wrote them into our slope-intercept form equation. Good. Okay, you're going to go ahead and try this one and then come back and check your work. Again, you're going to write the equation for the line that passes through these 2 points and then come back and check. I know this is a little tricky the first days you're working with slope-intercept form, but I see a lot of good work there. So you plotted 0, 0. Right? And then you plotted negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. Okay, so we have 2 points, and then we've got to draw the line through the points. So I start here, and I go through that point and beyond. And I'm going to grab it and stretch it out. Okay, so there's our line graphed. I love the fact that you can graph a line with just 2 points, don't you? It's nice and easy. Okay, as long as you're careful plotting them, right? We're going to use this form, slope-intercept form, so we have to find M and B. The easy one to find here is your y-intercept, right? Everyone, the y-intercept is? 0. It's touching at the y-axis at 0. And then we have to be careful with the slope, because slope is rise over what? Run. We always start on the left. Really is best to start on the left. Read this left to right. As we're going left to right, we're going down this far and across that far. So how far down did we go? Negative 4, and we went across 5. Okay, so we can say we rose negative 4 and we ran 5. And that's our slope. And so when we plug that in for M, we have y equals negative 4/5 x plus 0. And we don't even have to write plus 0, do we? I mean, if you wrote plus 0, it's true. But could you write it more simply just by stopping here, right? So you stop here. This is kind of a short linear equation. Okay? And I'm really impressed with what I see from your class in writing real-world equations. So taking a word problem and then putting it into a real-world equation. On the quiz, I almost think it was 100%. I think you all were able to write an equation like that, and it was 100% for the whole entire 7th grade. I was really happy, because it isn't always that way. You know, not every class shines that brightly. But we can use slope-intercept form in writing real world equations, just like you did on the quiz, okay? And the way that we do that is, slope is always our rate of change. It always has a rate, two different unit forms, like $5 per cake, $4 per bread, whatever, 25 calories per serving, 60 miles per hour. Those are rates. They have two different unit forms. So they always are the slope here. I mean, they're typically the slope. And then the B, the y-intercept, is usually the starting point. It is a point where everything begins, okay? So when we are writing an equation from the real world, we look for rates, there are slope, and we look for starting points. So a good example would be if you started a savings account. And if you can remember an example like this, this can help you with many other problems. That if you were opening up a savings account, you could make a deposit of like $100. They usually want you to make one deposit at the beginning of some amount, right, to start the account. And then could you save a little bit of money every month? So you could save $5 per month. And what is that? $5 per month is, did you hear two different unit forms? Dollars per month. What is that? It's a rate, right? It's your slope. So could you write the equation for, I deposited $100 into the bank and I saved $5 per month?
Yes.
What is that equation? What is it? Gavin?
I just want to know, what is that so next to miles?
Calories per serving. Miles per hour, calories per serving. Okay, so again, if we are depositing $100 in the bank and we save $5 per month, can you write the equation? Everybody try. Put it down on your notes and then we'll check it together. Okay, so if we started with $100 in the account and we save $5 per month, the equation should say together y equals
5x plus 100.
Right. The 100 is just a starting point. Do you see? It's where you began. And then $5 per month, that will change depending on how many months you're saving or you have saved. Okay? If I wrote this next equation down, I want you to come up with a real world problem that would match this. Okay? So how about if I say 25x plus 200? So somebody come up with a real world problem that this could represent. And this is a very high level skill, so I want everybody to be able to do this. But what story could you write in the real world and this would show you the answers to it? Stuart.
So you have
Good job, Stuart. So he says the school started with 200 iPads and they're adding 25 iPads per month. Very good. Do we have another story? What other story do we have? Okay, okay, so the tree has 200 apples and it is growing 25 apples per minute. Wow, 5 minutes later, it's going to have a lot of apples. And another story. Here's a happy scenario by Caitlin. We had 200 math problems and we get 25 more each day. Very good. Okay, so you have the idea. Let's see if you can take and put this scenario, put this into an equation, and then answer the question. A 7-foot python is growing half a foot per year. Write an equation for its length in X years. And then what is its length in 10 years? Everybody write the equation first, and then find its length in 10 years. Okay, I see so many of you with the correct answer here. And so you wrote y equals 1/2 a foot times the number of years, right? Plus, he started at 7 feet. That's just a starting length. That's it. And then when you multiplied by 10 years, here you plug in 10, you all ended up with y equals 5 plus 7, or his length is 12 feet.
Yeah, oh my God.
Good job. Okay. Okay, the method we just used for writing a linear equation for a point 2 points. You all look strong with. Remember, if you have to write a linear equation when given a point and slope, you simply go graph it. As we just said earlier, Jake asked the question, to find a second point, you simply start at the first point and then use your slope to find a second point, okay? And then we'll find the y-intercept and use slope and y-intercept to graph, okay? Okay, we're going to try this with simply one problem. You're given 1 point now instead of 2, and you're given slope, okay? So we are going to take and graph. And we have to start at the known point, right? And the known point here is negative 2, 2. So we don't know the y-intercept. You see that? We know negative 2, positive 2. So negative 2, positive 2. We know that falls on this line. And then the other thing we know is the slope. And this point we just graphed is on the line, so we're going to start there. And we're going to use the slope. The slope, if you can't see it back there, says negative 1/2, okay? So how do I rise negative 1? Which way do I go?
Down.
Down 1, and then I run 2, so I'm over here on a second point. And remember, it only takes 2 points to graph a line, so we can simply draw our line. But we're not just asked to draw the line, we are asked to write the equation. So, having drawn that line, do we now know the y-intercept? We crossed over that y-axis, right? So what is the y-intercept? Where is it crossing? 1. Good. And so we're going to go use our slope-intercept form. And Alex, read it to us with the slope and the intercept plugged in.
Y equals 1/2.
It's actually a negative. Hard to see. X
Plus
plus 1. Good. You simply plug it in. You go find it and plug it in. Okay? Another way you could receive this, you do not need to write this, but look up here. Another way you could receive this is they could graph it for you. And if they have graphed it for you, can you go find the slope and the y-intercept? And then plug it in. Okay, that's what you will do. And there you go.